Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Aaron Gordon here, and we're back here with the Aaron Gordon Podcast. I have my special guest, Eli Holman, here. He played with my brother Eric at Indiana. So, our ties go, this is now 14 years. It's crazy.
14. Yeah.
So, talk about, obviously, most people, pay attention, probably already know who you are, a lot of Indiana fans here. So, talk about how you got started into basketball growing up in California.
Oh man, basketball really wasn't my thing. I didn't start playing until I was a freshman in high school, actually. It was more so of something to do, to kind of keep myself busy, and I ended up growing into liking it to where I got pretty good at it. And I guess I got good enough to where my junior year I signed with Indiana, got a chance to play with, DJ White and Jordan Crawford, and of course your brother Eric Gordon, all good friends still to this day. So it's and it carried me over to my overseas career. So it's been really a good long road for me, even though I started as a freshman in high school.
Yeah. So, what was that like, when you were committed to Indiana and, obviously Jordan Crawford commits, my brother commits later on, DeAndre Thomas, all these guys, they all commit. And, you were one of the first people to commit. What was that like going there? Because I know when you first committed, you were one of the first ones. You weren't sure it was going to turn out like that.
I didn't, but it was a great experience when I went. I actually met your brother when I went. I met Jordan Crawford and a few other guys, Brandon McGee, Armand Bassett and all them guys, DJ White, and it was actually a really fun experience in the beginning. Obviously before the coaching change, things like that, but it was a real fun experience because it's kind of like we all hit it off right from the gate, like we all grew up together and we all knew each other, and that was a good fun experience, especially when you got a kid coming from California, from the West Coast all the way to the Midwest. So it was a great experience for me. Overall.
Yeah, it was kind of fun because I watched you guys one time, and what's so funny is you're actually one of my favorite players that one of my brothers ever, played with, because, you were long, you could dribble, you still had the handle and everything. And you played, a little bit of inside out, could guard. And what was so funny is like I told Eric, I was so excited to watch you play. Obviously I was excited to watch DJ play too. So, talk about your freshman year a little bit. Obviously, you got hurt earlier on, which, really bummed out. I experienced that a little bit my freshman year too, just, battling with that. But what was that like, just battling through injuries, your freshman year?
First of all, man, let me say thank you, man. I never knew that, man. I never knew so I do appreciate that compliment, man. That goes a long way, man. But I ended up battling a wrist injury. I ended up the first injury, I fractured the wrist. I came back a little too soon, which ended up actually breaking the wrist. Which I was in a cast for so long, and I had to take a medical red shirt. But that was tough. You want to get out there, you want to play. To me, the toughest thing as an athlete is watching from the sidelines. For whatever reason, and especially let it be an injury. It was really devastating. Obviously the team, they took on the challenge. They continued to battle. We continued to win. We had fun doing it at the same time. But the one thing I will say though, even getting hurt, I thought I wouldn't be able to practice, things like that. But one thing I loved about Coach Sampson was I'll never forget when I put when we had the cast on, he went to Tim, who at the time who was the head trainer, and said, "Hey, we have some bubble wrap." And he was like, "Yeah, we got some bubble wrap." He was like, "Hey, I want you to bubble wrap Eli's cast, and Eli, go get dressed because you're about to practice." And I was like, "Wait, I'm my hands on the cast. You want me to practice?" And the only drill I ever did was the rebounding drill when he put the bubble on the rim. But I've never seen anything like it. It was fun. I had a blast doing it. And but at the end of the day, when it came time to suit up to play, that one kind of stung a little bit.
Yeah, I know that's definitely tough. Just being able to go through that process. But obviously, you transferred to Detroit and obviously had an amazing career there. What was that like, going through that process of, transferring? Obviously, Ray McCallum was there, but, what was that entire process like going from Indiana to Detroit?
Oh, man, to be honest with you, man, it was very a humbling one. Coming from Indiana, IU, the Hoosiers, coming from that kind of basketball historical background, where, I mean, the entire city of Bloomington is a college town.
Yeah.
Going to Detroit, which was, obviously, people hear Detroit, they're like, oh my God, right, Detroit. And actually playing in Detroit was a big difference. It's a smaller university. The classrooms were smaller. Obviously it wasn't Callahan Hall is not Assembly Hall. So definitely smaller. You're going from 20,000 fans at Assembly Hall to maybe a place that says 5,000. So I mean, but overall, it was fun. I mean, it was once I got into the flow of things, I obviously had to sit out that year, that transfer year. But once getting into the flow of things, it was like a cakewalk, because now you had a player who was recruited and played at a high major and ended up transferring to a mid major. And so I was bigger than a lot of the centers. I was, stronger than a lot of centers. So I used that to my advantage to have a successful career at Detroit Mercy.
So what was that like? Obviously the Horizon League was no joke, back when you were in there. Obviously, how you guys had a lot of good teams. And what was so funny is we actually watched film. Our coach had us watch film of Valpo when they played against you guys and beat you guys on the buzzer beater. And I was talking about Coach, I'm like, and that's Eli. I mean, I didn't know that, your team was so good there. You guys were so solid. And, actually, watching the highlights and film of that, that shows how good the entire league was. I mean, obviously you guys had Butler, you guys had Valpo, you guys had a ton of really good teams in that league. What was that like, going to the Horizon League? And, were you a little shocked that, teams were this good?
I was. You take teams like Cleveland State when they had Norris Cole. You take teams like Valparaiso when they had Brokaw, So Butler when they had obviously Aaron Gordon and then not Aaron Gordon,
Gordon Hayward,
Gordon Hayward and Matt Howard. I mean, it was different because, and I mentioned them teams because them were the teams when we played. It was like nut up or shut up.
Yeah,
Valparaiso was really good, and then I know I ended up getting the transfer in Brandon Wood.
Yeah.
So it shocked me because, I didn't think it would be that competitive like the Big Ten is. You got your Michigan States and your Michigans and your Ohio. And so it was definitely an eye opener for me when you had players in the league that actually helped make their team good. Like, I mean, when you have player of the years and broke off at Valparaiso, and then you have, Norris Colton winning championships at Cleveland State. I mean, it was one of them things where it shocked me to say, wow, the Horizon League is good. And then Butler going back to the finals instead of the tournament. I mean, it really shocked me because at Indiana, I never heard of the Horizon League.
Yeah.
So to come play in the Horizon League and be like, wow, there's some actually good teams and players in the Horizon League to where, like I said, Butler repeats back to back, which was huge for the Horizon League to go to NCAA finals. It was really an eye opener to me. I'm going to be honest with you. It really shocked me. Like, wow, our league is really good.
So what was that experience like? I mean, obviously, was it this past year when you got your jersey retired, or was it 2 seasons ago or last season?
January 20th of 2020.
Yep. Okay. So that was last year. What was that experience like? And I mean, obviously not that many players in all of college basketball will ever get their jersey retired. Like, that's a crazy feat. Like, I don't think that there's that many people I know that actually have their jersey retired in their, college program. What was that feeling like? And how'd you get the call? How did it all go?
Oh man. The call came about, I want to say mid-December. Yeah. My grandfather called me, who lives in Detroit. He called me and he said, "Man, I got some good news. Are you sitting down?" I'm like, I just got in from practice, and I said, "Yeah," because I was in China at the time. Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, I'm sitting down. What's going on?" He was like, "Hey, just want to let you know, you're going to be the youngest guy in history to not only enter to the Hall of Fame, but to have his jersey retired." And I was just like, "Huh?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, that's not even possible, man. I mean, I only been out of college for I mean, I don't think it was even double-digit years or
Yeah.
or just about double-digit years. And I'm like, wait a minute, that don't even sound right.
Yeah.
And it didn't hit me, honestly, because obviously we're still playing and things like that. I told the team, they ended up letting me go home January 21st after the game. It didn't really hit me until I got off the plane in Michigan.
Yeah.
And that's when it really hit me like, wow, I'm really here at the time of being 30 years old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 30 years old with your
jersey. Exactly. And I'm about to get my jersey retired. I mean, it was amazing because you look at a lot of the Titan greats up there. Terry, Dave DeBusschere and Do-Rod and Rashad Phillips and all them great names, Earl Cureton, all them great names. And it's like, wow, I'm the youngest to do it, at 30 years old. And it was an honor. I mean, words can't even really describe how I truly felt to get up there and to see my jersey being raised in the rafters was just truly an amazing honor. It was a blessing. And the call initially didn't really do nothing for me, honestly. It was the more like I'm flying home.
Yeah.
Because, obviously we had Chinese New Year, so we had a break. Yeah. I'm flying, before COVID really just took off. But I was like, I'm flying home so I can have my jersey retired at the University of Detroit Mercy and the youngest to do it. And it was just when I got there, my heart was racing, my palms were sweating.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to say when they gave me the mic. And it was just, so it was a huge honor for not just for me, but for my family and for the fans as well.
Yeah, I know that had to be a crazy feeling. So obviously you played your rookie year in the Israeli Premier League. What was that like? What was that process like, going all the way, overseas to play your rookie year? It honestly, I will say for my first year overseas, I was really blessed to be in a place like Israel. Mm-hmm. I know some people are not as lucky. Yeah. But I would say I was really blessed to be in a place like Israel. I mean, obviously it was the team's first time in the top division. We lost in the semifinals to players that I would end up becoming friends with, like Dante Smith at the time, who, we played on numerous teams together. But it was a good experience, man, because, I'm in another country. I'm far away from home. There's a time difference. There's a culture shock difference. I'm living on my own. I got to fend for myself, and practices were pretty easy. We had a players coach, so and he lived in Tel Aviv. I played in Eilat, which is like 30-minute flight. And he lived in Tel Aviv, so practices were like an hour because he had to get on the flight and head back home to the wife and kids. But so we had pretty much 23 hours out the day to ourselves. Yeah. But it was a really good experience because I got to meet great people. I got to learn about their culture. I got to, they have a month that like September's like the worst month to be over there because you can't drive on certain days. Yeah. You can't do a lot of stuff. But I got a chance to make it was the beginning for me to start a new family. Yeah. And I did, and I took advantage of it, and I ran with it. And to this day, man, I can show you messages from the fans. They just love it. We want to come back, and it was just, that's the kind of impression that I left. And as a basketball player, I don't care if you play in the NBA, I don't care if you play overseas. That's the kind of impression you want to leave with fans and people. You want to be impressionable, likable. You want people to respect you as you respect them. You don't want to be like, hey, I'm the guy. Yeah. That stuck up, whatever. And I wasn't, and I embraced every moment of it. I got a chance to swim with dolphins, never done that a day in my life. So it was things that I experienced in Israel that I probably would have never experienced if I didn't go. So it was a great first transition for me. So obviously, years down the line, you're now playing in China, and so it's a lot different than It is. Yeah. So what was that like? Going to playing the CBA and having your career in China.
CBA is a whole lot different. Yeah. There's, in Israel and Turkey and a lot of places a lot of people spoke English. Yeah. So you go into obviously China's a nice big market outside of the NBA. So you're going into a whole different ball game to where you're going from playing with 3, 4, 5, 6 Americans on your team. And I was only 2 of you on each team. Yeah. The first quarter, only one American can play. at a time, second and third, both Americans, fourth quarter, same thing as the first quarter.
Yeah.
So it was a big shock. I mean, the food was definitely, when I tell you, I think my first year, I spent so much money eating out because I didn't, when I asked for shrimp fried rice, I got the shrimp with the heads on it. These are things that I wasn't used to and accustomed to in the States and things like that. Like, hey, you want some shrimp? I'm cooked. I don't want the whole head. I mean, it was different. So it was definitely a culture shock. But I embraced it, man. I embraced it to the point where before I even left, after my first year, the team I was on wanted to sign me for a 2-year multi-deal. So a total of 3 years being with them. And that was a blessing. And then, I mean, I played in China for 7 years and only played for 2 teams. I mean, that should tell you that's a real blessing, man. Yeah. So, but it was definitely, I mean, even to this day, even being there for so long, it's like it never fails. Something will shock you over there. Mm-hmm. It could be the fans. It could be the food. It could be the players. I mean, I learned something new every day when I was over there with and without my teammates. I picked up a couple of, small things like the language, just a little bit to get me where I need to go. I can get into a taxi.
Yeah, Evan said Mandarin and stuff.
yeah, I can get into a taxi and go eat, and things like that. So it's I really had fun there. Mm-hmm. I really did. So, and it was a good, and it made it easier to know that was my home for, each time I played with a team, they extended the contract. That was good to know. It was my home for 6-7 years. So, instead of having to go everywhere and learn a new culture again, have to adapt again. So that was really fun for me and my family. My family got a chance to come out and visit. So that was awesome.
So obviously, you played a summer in the summer league in 2012. What was that experience like? A lot of people, especially a lot of young players, they always wonder what is it like, playing in the summer league.
It was fun, man. I got a chance to play with the Rockets 1 year. Ended up getting hurt. Had a hip pointer. Mm-hmm. Ended up getting hurt. I mean, and at the time, Sampson was assistant coach at for them. And obviously, before getting hurt, it was different. It was a fun experience.
Yeah,
it was a fun experience because you meet so many guys. You meet first round draft picks. You meet lotteries. You meet everything. I mean, it was good to know. I mean, it wasn't like a starstruck thing because I played with 2 first rounders. I played with a lottery pick, which was your brother, of course, and I played with DJ White, who was a first rounder. Mm-hmm. So. It was really a good experience for a guy like me to learn from a lot of them older vets too. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys that come in and play 1 or 2 games. Chandler Parsons and all them guys come and play 1 or 2 games, and it was good to learn from a lot of them vets who've been there. Greg Smith, big guy, learning from him at the time. So it was a good experience to soak up some of that wisdom that they had, so I can add it into my world and into my game, which was especially off the court, which was huge.
So, talk a little bit about the Eli Holman Foundation. I follow that on Instagram, and it's absolutely amazing. And I was really happy, to see all the stuff that you're doing. So, can you just talk a little bit more about what that's all about and how you got it started?
Ever since I was a kid, I always loved to help give back. I mean, I love giving back. If we drove past somebody that was less fortunate than us and they were holding a sign, if I had money, if I had food, whatever I had, I would give. And I always told myself, and I told my mother when I was a kid, well, if I ever grow up and get some money, I'm gonna give back. Mm-hmm. And obviously that was years down the line, and finally was able to, to be blessed in my position. So I decided I want to start a nonprofit foundation, which is a family run organization, mm-hmm. to where, I want to extend to youth and to even some older people the opportunity that they may or may not have, mm-hmm. due to their situations, whether it's finances, whether it's the communities that they're in, whether they lose a job or things like that, which has been something that we've done for years. Right now we're really big on giving back as far as food and things like that. That's something that we've been on for about almost a year. And we partnered with a church here called First AME, And to every Tuesday and Thursday, we give back. We do the drive-by food banks where you leave your trunk open. We put boxes of food, and we give it to you on amount of how many's in your family, and to know that every Thursday we give out to 297 cars.
Yeah.
So, and that's not counting how many people are in that house. So you're talking about over thousands of family members that are eating for at least that week. And it makes me feel good. That sometimes you'll see me even out there, giving back and things like that. So it's little things like that to help get back to not only just to the youth, but to families in need, because, a lot of people aren't blessed or in situations like we are. So, and I never look down on people because of their situation. So I love giving back. We've always loved giving back. We haven't really, I kind of stepped away from the basketball teams, like bringing in the teams, and kind of dove more into the communities. Mm-hmm. So when I first started, I did the teams, boys and girls teams, but I kind of dove into the communities, which I think is a better fit for me personally.
Yeah. So, obviously, you've been, all across the world, and I see your partners on there. You have partners from all across the world. What was that, process like, getting partners from all across the world in the Eli Holman Foundation?
It was huge, but that goes back to me saying adapting in them relationships. Mm-hmm. Where you can have relationships. Where I have relationships with people in China, people in Lebanon, people in Turkey, people in Israel. Them are relationships that because you never know. You never know if you may need them or if they may need you. And I always believe you never know who you're talking to. There was one guy that I played with in Lebanon, and to only turn out, he's a well-successful businessman beyond basketball. Mm-hmm. So whenever I need something or I can't get something done or I need, hey, where can I get this? Or there has to be a brought over from abroad. He's really helpful in the things that we do. He's been a good contributor. His name is Fatty Khatib. He's been a good contributor in the Eli Holman Foundation. And it's that's the kind of thing that leaves marks. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if I was a butthole or whatever I was to people, I'm sure they wouldn't be reaching out to help. And it's just like how the Eli Holman Foundation, there was an explosion last year in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. To where, we sent a check out to Fatty Khatib and his family to give back to the community. So it's things like that, we help each other. And you're right, man. The partners come from just, man, the relationships, just two good people or several good people getting together and just kind of embracing life outside of basketball.
So what's so funny is I remember this when I think it was Eric or was my dad or someone that told me that you had a daughter, and I was like, really, what? And then it's funny, like now I see she's big now, and now you're making like dance videos with her, so it's absolutely great to see that. So what was that like, just having a daughter, obviously still pursuing your basketball career, which is really tough. What was that like, having to, juggle that and still having to be there for her and still, trying to balance your career?
It made, not going to say impossible, but it made things a little bit more difficult, especially, I had her in college. Mm-hmm. So going into my sophomore year of college, it didn't make things impossible, just a little more difficult because now I don't have any money. I'm in college, so I'm relying on family and friends to help, obviously take care of my child. And, but at the same time, it was motivation. Yeah. It's like, okay, now I have somebody that's going to, that is depending on me, even to this day is depending on me to provide, to be a great dad. So there were things that I used to do I couldn't do anymore, obviously. And there were things that I had to buckle down and be like, okay, I have to make it. I have to be successful. Now, and that was in any aspect, not even just sports. It was just, I had to be successful so I can provide for my child and also be able to teach my child one day the values of hard work and dedication. And now she's about to be, she's about to be 12 years old. She got me on this TikTok.
Yeah, I see those videos.
Yeah, man, she got me on TikTok, And it shocks people because they're like, "Oh, how old's your daughter?" She's like 16. I said, "No, my daughter is about to be 12, and she's 5'10".
Yeah.
So she's definitely an athlete. So
yeah.
she was very humbling for me in my life. She was very humbling for me in my life because it made me buckle down, and she became my motivation.
So obviously, this, knowing you from over the course of time, I know that you're a car guy. So, what's your favorite car? We all know that you have a Ram truck and then a Rolls Royce. So, what's your favorite car? And what are those cars like?
Honestly, it's funny. My two favorite cars are the cars that I have. So it's funny. I've always been a pickup truck guy because you never know, man. You got to help somebody move or do things like that. And I just love sitting high. I love sitting high. So obviously I got it raised up a little bit. Not overly dramatic, but and I love trucks. I'm a Dodge guy, so I love Dodges. Rolls Royce has always been a dream car. I actually just bought it last year, so I kind of waited. It's been my dream car for a long time, and I thought it was time to kind of treat myself a little bit. So, and I did. But cars in general, I love though. I love Cadillacs. I love. I'm looking at maybe even investing in getting like a 1978 Eldorado drop top.
Well, what's so funny is, you being from California and then you come to Indiana and then you going to Detroit. It's like you have to be a car guy. Like you're in three cities where cars, is where it's at. So that stuff is crazy, man. Because how does the Dodge Ram drive?
As man, it rides smooth, man. It's actually my second one. My first one, it's ran its course. I gave it to my older brother. The one I have is the Dodge Ram Rebel, so it's more for off-roading, which in Vegas ain't nothing but mountains and dirt, so it's perfect here because I do a lot of off-roading up in the mountains and things like that. So it's a smooth ride for me, man. I love it. It's obviously it's my everyday because I don't drive double R every day.
I got a Jeep Gladiator, so I'm looking forward to off-roading too, man.
Yeah. My uncle gave me my first ever car. It was a Jeep Cherokee in Detroit, and I loved it, man. I loved the Jeeps. It was awesome. Actually the truck and the Rolls Royce are my first cars I've ever bought in my entire life. All my other cars was given to me from family members.
Dang, that's a blessing, man.
So them was my first two cars I ever bought in life. So it was really so that's been, man, really such a blessing, man.
When did you move out to Vegas?
I want to say 2017, March 7th of 2017. I moved out to Vegas, been here ever since. My family's kind of taken over the house, so I kind of spaced out a little bit. I bought me some acres down in Arizona. Might, get ready to settle down and out there, but it's not too far. It's only an hour away. So but because Vegas is nice, but as I got older, the partying and stuff kind of got old. And so I was just like, but it's good for the weather right now. It's starting to heat up. I don't know how it is in the Midwest, but
it's bad right now. It is terrible right now. It's snowing everywhere.
Yeah, see, so it's going to be within the 70s in the next few days here. So that's perfect.
So what's your daily schedule like in Vegas?
I work out usually in the mornings. I go to the gym, give me about an hour and a half lift in. And, I lift on one day to get my cardio and core on one day. But my day usually starts about 5 a.m. Mm-hmm. Then about 10, I go and I do my basketball sessions from about 10 to 11:45. And then I come home and help the kids with their virtual schooling. Mm-hmm. And in the process of opening a few businesses and looking at getting a few Jimmy Johns and things like that. So I try to keep my time busy by being productive. Yeah. So and that's pretty much just my everyday. It's workout, kids, and then business.
What has that been like, helping your kids with virtual school now? I know it's like crazy, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, man. It's so difficult. And I say difficult because of the interaction for the kids. That physical interaction for kids are huge. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of like with the virtual, you got to sit there and really make sure they're doing their work because they can get easily distracted because they're at home. Yeah. So what I do is I make my kids get up. I make them brush their teeth. I make them eat breakfast. I make them get dressed. Mm-hmm. So you got to get dressed, like, sitting in the house, pajamas, things like that. So now you got to get up, you got to get dressed. And I do that even with my nieces and nephews. Hey, get up, get dressed, but it does help the one thing I do love about it, we can go to Detroit and they can still be doing their schooling. I love that. So, but the schools here are opening up soon, believe it or not. They're on March. They're talking about opening up. So,
okay. So that'd be a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much, man, to end this off, what was your favorite, basketball memory that you had in your career, other than, getting your jersey retired probably, but, your favorite, in general basketball memory?
Honestly, my favorite basketball memory, honestly, man, was, I would have to say overall would be the people I met along the way. And it started at Indiana. Mm-hmm. I would say that. I mean, I know I talk to DJ all the time. I talk to Jordan all the time. I know Eric's busy, but from time to time, he decides when he decides he can get back and write me back on my DM, he does. So, I mean, but, it's starting there. I still talk to Coach Sampson to this day, Coach Ray to this day. So it started there for them relationships to still grow, like you said, over 14 something years, man, is amazing. And to still have that is amazing, to know we still can laugh about, hey, man, you remember that time we was walking through the dorms? And, to have that is huge, man. And just a lot of other people I met along the way. I met some good people, and Pooh Jenner and Jeremy Pargo, and I mean, a lot of great guys, man, that really we bonded, throughout. So I would say for my greatest moment of basketball is meeting the people I met today, and you too. I mean, I've been following you, man, and from time to time we chatted up, and so them things like that are important to me.
Yeah, because
so I would have to say,
when I was 8 years old, man. Now I'm a little dude, man.
Yeah. So man, that's important to me. Huge.
Mm. Well, obviously, thank you for, doing this. I hope to definitely get you on the podcast, another time too. But, obviously, thank you. We all see, you're very busy, you have this, long, hefty schedule, but, thank you for taking your time out.
Man, I appreciate you, man. I couldn't man, when it was you, I said, I'll clear some stuff around, man. So anytime you ever need me or be a guest or whatever, I'll be more than happy, man. I appreciate that. I'm honored that you thought of me.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you.